All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about one of the most elegant, most essential processes in all of biology, the TCA cycle. It's truly the absolute heart of our metabolism. So, if you were with us for our last explainer on glycolysis, you'll remember we took one molecule of glucose, split it clean in two, and ended up with two molecules of pyruvate. Now, that's a good start, for sure, but the big energy win? Not even close. So, you gotta be asking, right? Where's the real energy payoff hiding? We've gone through all that trouble, and we've barely even tapped into the energy that glucose was holding on to. To find that energy, we have to go on a little trip. We're leaving the cytosol, kind of the main fluid of the cell, and we're heading deep inside, into the cell's main engine room. You know what I'm talking about? The powerhouse, the mitochondrion.
And this is where the magic happens. Deep inside the mitochondrial matrix. This is the core of the cell's metabolic engine. So what is this thing, the TCS cycle, anyway?
Okay, so its fancy name is the tricarboxylic acid cycle. Yeah, you can see why we just say TCA. You've probably also heard it called the Krebs cycle, named after the guy who figured it out, Hans Krebs. But honestly, the name that makes the most sense is the citric acid cycle. Why? Well, it's super simple. The very first thing it makes is citrate. It's this beautiful loop of 8 chemical reactions, all driven by enzymes. And it's absolutely vital for, well, any living thing that uses oxygen. This diagram really helps you see the big picture. Think of cellular respiration like a 3-act play. Act 1, that was glycolysis, which we already covered. Now we're in Act 2, the TCA cycle. This is the crucial middle part. It takes the fuel from Act 1 and gets it prepped for the grand finale, Act 3, oxidative phosphorylation. And that is where we get the massive energy payout. And you know, this cycle is a fantastic multitasker. I mean, its main gig, for sure, is trapping energy. It goes in and just strips those high-energy electrons right off our fuel molecules. But check this out. It's also like the grand central station of metabolism. It's the one place where the breakdown pathways for carbs, fats, and proteins all come together and merge. All right, you ready? Let's actually take a spin through the cycle itself. We're going to follow a carbon atom on its journey and see how this incredible machine really works from the inside. Okay, I know what you're thinking. You see this diagram with all 8 steps, and it looks a little complex. But hey, don't worry, we're not about to memorize every single enzyme here. What's really cool is the big picture, the flow of it all, the sheer logic of how it takes our fuel apart piece by piece. So, to make this super easy to follow, let's just break the whole thing down into 3 simple phases. Think of it as entry, payoff, and reset. All right, let's walk through it. Phase 1 is all about getting your ticket for the ride. So that 3-carbon pyruvate we made in glycolysis, it gets a quick makeover into a 2-carbon molecule called acetyl-CoA. Now this is the fuel we're putting in. It then meets up with a 4-carbon molecule that's already hanging out in the cycle called oxaloacetate. So you do the math, 2 carbons plus 4 carbons gives you a 6-carbon molecule, and that is citrate. And just like that, boom, the ride has started. Now, as soon as that citrate is made, we are straight into the main event, phase 2, the payoff. As this wheel turns, the carbon atoms from our fuel get snipped off one by one, and they're released as carbon dioxide. Yeah, the very same CO2 you're breathing out right now. And here's the really brilliant part. The cell doesn't just let all that energy go in one big wasteful burst. No way. It carefully captures that power bit by bit and loads it onto these special molecules called electron carriers. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most clever part of all. Phase 3, the reset. After all that business of snipping carbons and grabbing electrons, the cycle does a little chemical shuffle and poof, it turns what's left right back into our starting molecule, that 4-carbon oxaloacetate. See? That's what makes a cycle so incredibly efficient. It doesn't have to start from scratch. That oxaloacetate is just sitting there, ready and waiting for the next acetyl-CoA to come along. It's a perfect self-sustaining engine. All right, so we've done one full lap around the cycle. Let's pause and take stock. What did we actually get out of all that? This is the important part. Let's count up our winnings from just one turn. So for every single acetyl-CoA we put in, here's the output. We get 2 molecules of CO2, that's just waste product. We get 1 little molecule of GTP, which is basically ATP, so that's a tiny bit of direct energy. But the real prize, the whole reason we do all this, are these guys, the electron carriers. We get 3 molecules of NADH and 1 molecule of FADH₂. Think of these as tiny supercharged batteries, packed with all the energy we're going to cash in later. Now, this is a super important point, and this quote says it perfectly. The TCA cycle itself, it doesn't actually use oxygen, not directly. But what it is doing is prepping the fuel, all those NADH and FADH₂ batteries, for the next step. And that next step, oxidative phosphorylation, absolutely depends on oxygen. But wait, there's more. Remember how I said the cycle was a multitasker? Well, it kind of has a secret identity. It's not just about destruction, about breaking things down for energy. It has a creative side too. You could say it's leading a double life. The scientific term for this is an amphibolic pathway. Sounds complicated, but it's not. It's just a way of saying it works both ways. It's involved in catabolism, breaking complex things down, and it's also involved in anabolism, building complex things up. And this shows you exactly what I mean. It's like the cell can just reach in and pull spare parts right off the assembly line. Need to make some amino acids? No problem, just grab some alpha-ketoglutarate. Need to make fat? Just pull some citrate out of the mitochondria and send it on its way. It's this amazing flexibility that really makes the TCA cycle the ultimate hub of metabolism. Now, with something this important, this central to everything, you can bet the cell doesn't just let it run wild. It's kept on a really tight leash. So let's talk about how the cell keeps this whole thing perfectly under control. And the way it's regulated is just so smart. First off, it's basic supply and demand. Not enough fuel, not enough acetyl-CoA, and the cycle just naturally slows down. Then there's something called product inhibition. Basically, if the cell is already swimming in energy with tons of NADH backed up, those products actually send a signal back to the start saying, whoa, hit the brakes, we're good for now. And on top of all that, there are 3 specific enzymes that work like master switches, giving the cell pinpoint control over the whole process. So when you really step back and look at the whole thing, the TCA cycle is it's a masterpiece of efficiency. It's this elegant spinning wheel at the center of everything, taking all the different fuels we eat, carbs, fats, proteins, and channeling all their energy toward one single goal, making ATP. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. What would happen to a cell if this central engine, this metabolic heart, just stopped? Imagine it just broke down. The fallout would be catastrophic. And that really drives home just how absolutely fundamental this cycle is for pretty much all complex life on Earth. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on this explainer. If you want to keep diving into the amazing machinery of life, make sure you follow BioDojo for more insights like this one. And hey, if you found this breakdown helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really does help other curious minds find our work. We'll see you in the next one.